and now you are a Norman. So congratulations again on your marriage.
Yeah.
Like you said, you put all these filters in Match.com to make sure that you married another Highland Games athlete. So I think that's even phenomenal too. As all part of your master plan to make sure your husband would not mind helping you set up a standard and other equipment in the backyard, right?
Right. He had to be in.
That's right. You got to plan ahead, ladies. Just helping you guys out. Anybody watching this? So Heidi, the reason why I wanted to talk to you today, in addition to you just being awesome, cool, is the fact that you are not only a Highland Games athlete, but you're still making progress as a masters athlete. And a lot of times you see it's the opposite. So someone is an athlete, and in their sport they start to kind of like, do the slow decline, and maybe with good training their decline is gradual, but it's unusual to see someone as a masters athlete making progress. And you just hit a lifetime PR in the hammer, I believe, at lightweight nationals. Was that right?
Yes. Yep. The light hammer, and it was about a 3-foot PR, so it was a pretty big one.
That's nice.
One of my worst events.
Yeah. So that's immediately got my attention. So tell me about what have you changed and tweaked with your training in order to be able to start making PRs like that.
Yeah. So when I started lifting, I lost a lot of weight. So I was pretty thin for a few years, and yay for marriage, I put some weight back on. But I also started a new programming. So I do through Ryan Stewart. He's a Utah pro athlete, former pro. He's retired now, and he's a trainer, and he helped me put together a program for my off-season lifting. Okay. And I've just been lifting hard and trying to be stronger. So I think it's paid off.
I'm trying to, let me go ahead and see if I can't queue up some of this. You got some training that you do here. This is you guys training outside of I know this is just awesome for your neighbors, because this is you practicing, your husband actually practicing sheaf toss in the front yard. That's bold. All right. Yeah. It's not normally now the average person is going to practice that sort of thing in their backyard, because they're like, well, what would the neighbors think? This dude is right in front of the garage door. Like, this is what just moved in the neighborhood, that's awesome, right? Oh, and then now I'm watching you do it. So what do your neighbors and there's a car going by, that's hilarious. What do the neighbors think when you guys first moved in and they start seeing straw fly through the air? What are they thinking? Yeah. What first conversation?
Yeah, well, so none of them stopped and talked to us, and we moved in just before winter, and so we can't go in our backyard because it's mud. Okay. So we're just in the front yard or in the driveway. But yeah, they ask and wonder what we do. A lot of people have been to some of the festivals though, so they at least have an idea, which is kind of surprising. But yeah, we get looks.
I mean, I would say so. I mean, I'm looking at you doing this, and it's like, if somebody, Highland Games has a little bit more visibility than it used to, but I can still, imagine that if you don't have any idea what's going on here, you go out in the backyard and you see somebody throwing straw, or like we were talking about, I'm trying to talk you into doing a caber carry down the road, nice residential neighborhood. I really want you to do it too. Yeah. That's still something that's a little bit shocking, because there's still that perception of women as being like these, female athletes as being like these buff, I hate to use it, but doodly people, right? And you're not like that. You're very feminine. And then next thing I know, you're walking by with, the top of a power pole in your hand casually, like, yeah, it's no big deal, right? So do you ever get that from your neighbors? Like, but you're so petite, you're so ladylike. I never would have imagined you were doing that.
Yeah, I've gotten that from people who know me, or even at work, people that, like you said, they look at me and I don't fit, I guess, a typical powerlifting or muscle, I don't know, strong athlete form, I guess. And so, yeah, they get that. And then they see me, or they see my videos, and they're like, wait, that's you doing that? Like, yeah, that's me. It's a lot of technique. Strength comes and helps, but it's a lot of technique and knowing what you're doing. And you don't have to be, 6 foot tall and a 200-pound girl to do it. You don't. So it's nice.
We want to come back to that before we close this out, because I want to ask you about how someone could get involved in it. But this is a good time to segue into the fact that you are very good at the Scottish Highland Games. So let's talk about some of your accomplishments. We just mentioned that you just PR'd, but like, what are some of your accomplishments?
Yeah, I've been invited to this year, actually, when I got done with Lightweight Nationals. I've been invited the last 4 years, so it's 4 years that Lightweight Nationals has happened. I've been the only athlete who's been invited and attended all 4 years, so that's really exciting. I've placed higher this year than I ever have, and so that's all in North America, so United States and Canada. Okay. I placed 7th, so for me that was really good. I'm not number 1, but I was really happy with that finish. I was invited to Masters Nationals in Kentucky this year. I don't know that I'll be able to make it, but that's an exciting thing. They told me I was recognized as one of the top 10 in my class, so that's awesome. I've placed all over the place, and when the class first started for lightweights, I was placing first and second, but it was much smaller. We are way more competitive now, and there are a lot more girls now, so it's hard. I have to train, or I won't get the invites anymore. So, especially in the lightweight class, I was competing with one girl. She's 16 years old.
Oh, and wow!
And some 20-year-olds. There's some young people, and so, being older, I have to keep lifting and getting stronger so I can be able to compete with them.
I mean, so I'm gonna put the link in the description for people to go back and read the original interview I did with you. That's currently at garageandlifemedia.com. But I thought that was really cool that you said, like you've got like the Scottish background, and it's just it's great that you're able to kind of honor your heritage in that way. But let's say somebody doesn't have that background, they just see this thing and they're like, hey, this is kind of cool to do. How would they get started?
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up. That is a big misconception. People think that they have to be Scottish to compete. You definitely do not. We have a guy that competes, and he travels the world, so you definitely don't. But most states have some sort of throwing organization all over the United States, Hawaii, and really Googling it. That's what I did to find the group, and that's the best way to do it. A lot of them are on Facebook. They're on Instagram. There's different clubs and athletes that can help you find somewhere to go. Yeah. So really, I'd say Google or just your social media is going to be your best place to find a place to start. And they're so welcoming. They'll welcome anybody, any new athlete. We always want them to come and throw.
Oh yeah, because I mean, I'm looking at this group photo, and you're a tight knit group. There's always it looks like there's a tremendous camaraderie. I was at the Arnold last year. We're about to be at the Arnold again this year to do some live streaming for Arm Lifting USA, but I'm still going to be able to spend a little bit of time, doing like the, I guess being like the fan. And so just like last year, I spent some time watching the Highland Games indoor event, and I plan to do that again. See if I can't talk Chad Clark into going and kind of explaining some of the rules to me. But what struck me is like you have people who are helping each other. They're competing against each other, but they're helping each other try to get better. And I remember I'm watching like people, they're both going for the all-time world record. These are Masters athletes, and they're trying to help each other each get better. And that was one of the things that I thought was really, really awesome about the Highland Games. Just from watching it, I'm sure that you've got some things to say about that as an actual athlete as well. Has that been your experience?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. When my competitors, I had a girl hit 2 world records at nationals. I was so excited for her. And I mean, give advice, cheer people on. They're happy for me. I got a PR that wasn't anywhere near where that world record was, but they were so excited for me. And that has been something that has kept me in the sport, is just the camaraderie and the group of people. There's, anywhere you go, cheering for you, give you tips if you want them. I follow a lot of athletes because they'll come up with stuff. They have different exercises or training things that they do, so that they'll put out there. But yeah, it's a great community.
All right, yeah. So you mentioned like training tips and stuff, and so I'm not going to miss the opportunity to plug Kylie Frazier's article in the Home Gym Quarterly about what to do with off-season Highland Games training. It's really good. It's only 3 pages. And I'm gonna also put the link to that in the description for this video. So if you're watching this live, just when we close this out, go refresh, and I will have put the link to that so you guys can check out that article for free. Like I say, it's really informative, gives you some good tips. But one of the things that I know that you've recently started doing, because I instigated it kind of, is you started using inversion therapy. And while I think that's great for any strength athlete, it's good for anybody, but especially any strength athlete, because we're putting weight on our shoulders, so it's kind of compressing your discs. Why was that important for you as a Highland Games athlete to start doing inversion?
Yeah, so when I saw you doing it, and I believe you had commented that it was a great way to help with your hips, and I've struggled with my hips, and squatting obviously aggravates that. And so I thought, all right, well, I'm going to give it a go. And it really has made a difference. And I've noticed my hips don't hurt. So I'll do it after my squat days, and they don't. And I really like it. And I've had a lot of people comment about it, and they're like, oh, that looks really cool. Do you like that? How does it work? And so I've enjoyed it. So thank you for introducing me to that. It's something I never thought I'd ever do, but I actually really like it. It's nice. It feels really good, and you can just feel everything kind of.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's like you get up there and you have that second where you're like, okay, am I gonna die? And then as you start to get into it, you kind of, I don't really know how to explain it, but when I first started doing it, because it actually hurt my ankles when I first started doing it, but then I said, well, I'm just gonna be up here for 2 minutes. So it's kind of like when I get a tattoo, I kind of like go away mentally a little bit, and then kind of just think about something else, but whatever. But then you start to feel stuff just start unlocking. You're like, oh, that feels kind of good. Oh, and you just like, oh, this is great. And then you almost don't want to get down, and then like you get down, and then you just feel like, especially the next morning, I feel a lot better if I've done it, especially after a heavy squat or a heavy deadlift day. I feel a lot better than if I don't do it, because it just, like you said, it just makes you feel a lot more open. The best part about me watching it, you guys, if nothing else, you want to follow Heidi on Instagram at Scottish Girl _14. Is that right?
Scottish __
All right, I'm putting that in the description for this video as well. But yeah, go follow Heidi. If nothing else, you get to see her doing inversion with Wallace, the legendary Wallace the cat, who is sometimes not amused, sometimes he's confused. But that's just so cool to just seeing you do it. Especially with the bar right there. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
So before I let you go, let's talk about some other stuff, and that is you do train at home. Obviously, that's how we're connected, because I'm promoting the home gym culture. Yeah. But you also, we talked about how it's important to know once you start getting good at something like the hammer throw, the lightweight for distance, heavyweight for distance. I mean, you're throwing stuff, right? So when you're good, you need to probably not train some things at home. And by that, I mean, when you first start out, you go to throw a rock, it's not going to go too far, okay? It just isn't. Swallow your pride, guys. It's not going to go too far. So you're probably safe, throwing in your backyard. But as you start getting good, you're going to start getting some air time, and you don't want to drop a rock or a hammer on your neighbor's convertible while they're driving by from the grocery store. So at what point, and then there's also the fact that you get to interact with other people if you go somewhere. So do you just go to a park, or do you guys have meetups through Facebook and you kind of arrange all that? Like, how organic is it?
Both happen. So sometimes my husband and I will just go throw, and we go to a park. Like you said, hammers, weight for distance, you can't do that in your backyard unless you have acreage. I mean, if you had 2 acres of property, sure, but we don't. Yeah. So yeah, there's a certain point where you're just not going to be able to do that at home. So we do that. I do Utah Heavy Athletics is the throwing group here in Utah, and we post when we're going to kind of meet up and train together, and we go to parks and throw there. So So it's nice because it's nice to kind of come together and get tips from each other during that practice time. But some of it I can do at home. Some of it I definitely can't do at home. So
I appreciate it. Well, Heidi, it is really, really cool to spend some time talking to you. What's next up for you?
So we've got just a little game coming up here. In March, couple weeks. It's kind of our kickoff to the season. So I've stopped my off-season training, started my in-season training, and I've got games from now pretty much until November. So I'm trying to get another invite to Lightweight Nationals, which will be in November in Moab. So that's my goal for this year, just to get another invite to there. So that's what I'll be doing. Sounds good.
Well, for anybody who's watching this, I'm going to put the resources for everything in the description for this video. There is a Facebook group that I'm familiar with. Oh, wait, we have a question. So it said, hey, Heidi, sorry if I missed this already being said, but what is your background as an athlete? So Mulatto23 wants to know what your athletic background is. That is, well, that's sort of involved, but let's you can give like a short version of this.
Yeah, quickly. I mean, really, I played softball, ran track, and swam. So not any track and field. Most athletes that do Highland Games, they do have a track and field background, but I didn't. So those were the sports that I did when I was younger and high school. So I just wanted something to keep me going and not get old.
Oh yeah, I completely hear that. That's another thing that I like about it, though. That does say when the people getting started, you don't have to have a thrower's background. There's some prerequisites that you probably need to do, especially if you have like more of a powerlifting background. So your shoulders are not necessarily as open, and your hips may not be open. So there is some work you're gonna have to do, as we were talking about Heidi doing the inversion. But everyone I've ever talked to, and I actually interviewed, another shameless plug, I interviewed Daniel McKim for the summer issue of the Home Gym Quarterly, and so he talks about how he got into that. But everybody's always talking about how you can start Highland Games, maybe not at any age, but it's, you know, most ages you can go ahead and just get out there and do it. It's a welcoming community. Well then, we're gonna go ahead and we'll sign off. Like I said, I'm gonna put all of the links to everything in the description for this video. The video is gonna be available as a replay, and so if like, just give me 5-10 minutes. So any links that are not already there, we're gonna go back and add them, and then you guys will be able to check it out and go take advantage of all those links that'll help you out. But in the meantime, you guys make sure you go follow Heidi on Instagram. Tell them your Instagram one more time, Heidi.
Yeah, Scottish_girl14.
Awesome. You get to see her throwing, lifting, hanging, and you will get to see Wallace. And that Wallace by himself is worth following. All right. All right. I appreciate it, Heidi. Thanks for hanging out and spending time with us.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. And you guys, thanks for watching this. Do not forget that we're going to be live streaming Armlifting USA from the Arnold Armlifting Championships. That's going to be next weekend, starting March 6th. We're going to be live streaming all 3 days, March 6th, 7th, and 8th from the Arnold Armlifting Championship, as well as showing some other events as we go, we go through the day at the Arnold, because we're going to be there all 3 days. So look forward to seeing you guys there. Thank you for checking this out. And do not forget, support our live streams by going to shop.gcode.com, using the link that's right here in our bio. That portion of the proceeds goes towards supporting our live streams and help making it possible for us to talk to the athletes like Heidi, who, maybe you guys would never get to hear from, because we want to be able to tell those stories. You guys have a great day.